Hello there, fellow data analysts. In this video, I will uh, demonstrate how you can create a histogram in R. Uh, to understand the concept of variation in a distribution, please refer to my other videos where I've explained the feasibility, the applicability of visualization and exploring variation in distributions. In this video, I'm simply going to explain how you can use functions in R to create a basic histogram. So to begin with, I would like to create a random variable that's normally distributed. I can do that either through inputting a series of values and then check those values to make sure that they're normally distributed in terms of their distribution. Or I can also simply use the rnorm function that will allow me to create a variable, a normally distributed variable. So that function goes as rnorm, and the argument is that what are the number of values or data points or points that I want in this vector or in this variable. So I would say I want 100 values, and then I want the mean to be 50 and the standard deviation to be, let's say, 10. So once I write that the arguments, I close the parentheses, I click on run, and I have a new variable that's normally distributed. And to check it, we can simply run it, and you see that this is our vector and their values. So a couple of advices before I write the function to create the histogram is that in order to be able to code a function in any programming language, it's very important to know the structure of the function, to know the syntax and the arguments, or the syntax of the arguments of the program language that you're using. So, for example, if you want to become an expert in learning in writing codes in R, then instead of memorizing a few functions, which is almost impossible, to memorize, especially long extended functions and codes, it's more effective to learn the syntax. It's more effective to be able to read and interpret and define the scripts. And once you're able to do that, you can actually not only will you be able to write functions, but you will also be able to extend those functions into more advanced arguments, and that's very, very important. That's the number one tip that I can give to anybody as someone who has been working in the field of data analysis for years and years. So simply put, one of the ways that you can check any function is through help box here, and I already put the histogram here to explain what the histogram description is and how it's broken down into arguments and usages. But you can ask anything. For example, if you want to know what a t-test is, you simply just put t-test, and it's going to pull up a series of information that can help you be able to replicate these descriptions into actual function here on your screen here. So again, as I said earlier, it's important to be able to read through these and be able to make sense out of them. And once you're able to make sense out of them and use it in your functions, then you will be able to you'll be able to engage in more advanced code writing. So last thing, treat writing code as speaking a language. When you want to learn a language, right, if you only learn certain sentences or certain expressions, you'll be able to memorize them, but you will not be able to extend them. You will not be able to expand on them to have greater conversations. The reason why is because you did not learn the fundamentals. You did not learn what the building blocks are, what are the parts of speech that actually come together to compose sentences. If you learn the grammar, the parts of speech, and the particles, then you will be able to you'll be able to compose thousands of sentences. You'll be able to actually speak in a language. So, to understand the language of R, it's important to understand the basic fundamentals of R and knowing the syntax language of R. So now, yeah, also, if you can't use the help, the search bar here for whatever reason, you can also use the question mark and then name of the function, and that will take you to the same page where we are. There you go. So let's create our basic histogram here. You can do. I suggest that each time you're writing a function, assign it to an object. In case you lose in case you delete the script, or in case you lose the visualization, you will always be able to pull it from the environment, our environment where you have saved the object. So I would save this as, let's say, example 1, and I will start with the code histogram, the hist, and then the first argument will be the name of the variable. In this case is x. And then we can start with, before I do that, let's just look at what a basic histogram with only the name of the histogram and the name of the variable would look like. So that's what it looks like. But although we did not add arguments with it, it embedded, or it assigned certain measures, labels, etc. by default. Now the additional arguments that can be appended here actually designate what these labels and what these measures should be. So the first one will be main, and main is nothing but the name of the header of the histogram. In this case, we can put something as histogram for me. And then we have the x variable name here as x. We can change that to xlab is the function for that, to, let's say, interval. And then we have and then you can enter because we don't have a lot of space left here. And then ylab, which is the label for the y-axis, it goes from 0. It's frequency, and it's assigned by default. We want to change it to measure. And let's say we also have xlim, which is the measures that, the interval between the lowest and the highest. Right now we have from 20 to 70. Let's say we can change that to 0 to 100. And the same thing with the y-axis lim. We can change that to, let's say, it goes from 0 to 20. We can change that from 0 to maybe 30. And then we can do some formatting. Let's say we can add a color. We say make the color blue. Let's say we can also add a borderline color. Let's say we have it to be red. If you want, we can also, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 bars or breaks. We can change that as well. Let's say we ask it to give us, let's say, 20 breaks, and that should be it. Let's run this function. There you go. Now we have our histogram. As you can see, we changed the y-lim from 0 to 30. We changed our x-lim from 0 to 100. We changed the color to blue. We changed the borderline to red. We changed the header. And we changed the x and y labels. And this is the reason that I was saying earlier that it's important to understand the syntax of your the syntax of the function or whatever or the code in whatever programming language that you're using it, because it allows you to add additional arguments or additional measures, additional calculations to to your analysis in case you need to. Otherwise, if you limit yourself to one or two basic functions or codes, you will, although you'll be able to memorize them, but they won't be very effective in the long term when you need to advance your analysis. With that being said, this video comes to an end. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much.